If I could go back in time to when I first tried my drawing tablet, bright-eyed, full of excitement, and absolutely terrified, I would have a lot to say to that version of myself. Because digital art, for all of its magic and convenience, has its own set of traps. It's easy to get lost in the layers, the brushes, and the software. It's easy to forget that you're still just making art. So once again, join me on a quest to become a better artist while I share a few things I wish I knew before I started my digital art journey. Lessons that would have saved me time, frustration, and maybe a few late-night meltdowns over why my line art looks so weird. The first one is that you don't need a fancy setup to start. Back when I first started, I thought I needed the most expensive tablet, the best stylus, the most expensive software, as if it somehow created skill and beautiful pieces on their own. But truthfully, the fanciest setup in the world won't make you a better artist. A cheap tablet and free software are more than enough to learn the basics and get you started. The magic isn't in the tools, it's in how you decide to use them. And honestly, starting simple keeps things less overwhelming and stressful. So don't let fancy gear be your excuse to wait. Start with what you have and upgrade later if you truly need and want to. I've seen people buy $3,000 tablets only to decide it's not for them a few weeks later. The second one would be that brush overload is real. When you're new to digital art, discovering that you can download thousands of brushes feels like unlocking a superpower. But the catch is, it can also be paralyzing. You spend more time testing brushes, perfectly categorizing them, than actually drawing. Every time something doesn't look right, you blame the brush instead of the practice. It's like you're trying to bake a cake and switching spoons every 2 seconds. Just pick a few brushes, a sketching brush, one for painting and one for texture, and stick with them. Learn how they behave and what you can do with them before collecting another 100. Your style develops when your brain stops fighting your tools, and that can only happen when you use them enough to know them deeply. Every digital quirk. Later on, if you need any specific brushes, it's even more helpful to make them yourself than to just grab 100 of them made by somebody else. I'm not saying buying or collecting brushes is bad in any way. I'm guilty of it myself. But to keep things as simple as they can be is the easiest way to succeed in the beginning. Third one would be that drawing on glass or plastic feels weird at first. If you come from traditional art like I do, your first experience drawing on a tablet might feel alien. There's no paper texture, your digital pencil glides too smoothly, and the screen feels slippery and disconnected. And that's okay. It's not you, it's physics. Your muscle memory just needs time to adjust. Try adding a matte screen protector for more texture or use felt tips to add more friction. Give it a few weeks. Soon it'll feel as natural as pencil on paper. Patience really is the secret ingredient here. The fourth one is that zooming in is the silent killer. One of the sneakiest habits in digital art is zooming in too much too often. It's easy to get lost in the tiny details. Polishing eyelashes that no one will ever see, redrawing the same line 30 times. Then you zoom out and realize the whole composition looks off. The anatomy is lacking and the colors are non-existent. But hey, at least you have some perfect eyelashes somewhere in there. Zooming in might feel productive, but it can actually make you lose sight of the bigger picture. To remedy this, try to draw zoomed out as much as possible for the longest time you possibly can. When you zoom out, you make decisions based on form, color, and composition, not just pixels. With time, you'll understand at what point you need to zoom in, just a little, and honestly, it'll save your wrist and your sanity in the long run. The fifth one is that layers are both a blessing and a curse. The reason digital art feels so safe, and also the reason we sometimes forget to commit. When you have almost unlimited undos and endless layers, it's tempting to overuse them. You end up with 120 layers named Layer 5 Copy Final. But too many layers make things so complicated. They slow you down both technically and creatively. If you don't need to keep them for some technical reason or client requests, try merging your layers once in a while. Flatten your sketch before coloring, paint on the same layer occasionally. It forces you to make some more confident decisions, and other times, it makes you learn how to fix mistakes without the help of the undo button. Just like in traditional art. Digital art doesn't have to feel clinical. Sometimes chaos can bring charm. The sixth one is that color calibration is a real thing. I remember finishing a digital painting I actually liked. The colors looked perfect on my screen. Then I printed it, and it looked like a sad, desaturated but burned out ghost of what it used to be. That's when I learned about color calibration. Different screens show colors differently. Your art might look warmer on your tablet, cooler on your phone, and darker on your monitor. To fix this, view your work on multiple devices before finalizing it. And when you start working with clients or printing, learn about color spaces. sRGB for screens and CMYK for print. It's boring, yes, but it'll save you from heartbreak later on in your journey. The next one is perfectionism feels worse digitally. Digital art has a dangerous illusion. You can fix anything. You can undo, erase, liquefy, warp, recolor, repaint, forever. But that's the problem. You can fix everything, so you're almost free to never feel finished. In traditional art, a misplaced brushstroke forces you to adapt, to turn mistakes into style. In digital art, you can undo until your soul leaves your body. The cure? Set boundaries. Give yourself time limits or stop after a certain number of revisions. Perfection isn't progress. Sometimes your art grows faster when you let it stay a little messy. The next one would be that reference isn't cheating. I know a lot of people who are just starting out think that reference is cheating, that real artists can just draw everything perfectly from memory every time. And that's one of the most absurd things I've ever heard. Every professional artist uses reference. For anatomy, for lighting, design, poses, color palettes, everything. And so have the old masters. References don't make your art less original. They make it more believable. And the more you study from real life, the more your imagination has to work with later on, making you better when working from memory. The next one is that shortcuts will save your hands and your patience. If you're using a tablet or drawing software and you're still manually switching tools by scrolling through menus, please learn your shortcuts. It's not just about speed. They prevent physical strain as well in the long run. Learn the basics until they're muscle memory. Over time, your drawing flow will become smoother, more natural, and you'll spend less time thinking about tools and more time actually creating in the flow. Little things like setting up hotkeys or customizing your interface can help you out immensely. The next one is that digital art doesn't replace traditional, it expands it. So digital art isn't any better or worse than traditional, it's just different. One doesn't have to replace the other. In fact, everything you've learned from traditional art, composition, color theory, texture, patience, makes you better and transfers to your digital art as well. And everything digital teaches you, flexibility, efficiency, experimentation, makes you better at traditional. You don't have to pick a side, you can be both. An artist who paints on paper and with pixels. Digital art is an incredible tool. It's fast, forgiving, and full of potential. But it can also overwhelm you if you treat it like a maze instead of a playground. It takes time and a lot of patience. You'll spend hours adjusting brushes, fighting with layers, and undoing the same line 100 times. And that's okay. That's how you learn. As always, I'll see you in the next one.